Hey, hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys can see me and hear me okay. I'm going to get us started in 1 second. We have some interesting stuff to talk about today. And and the first thing we can celebrate is the fact that I am actually able to go live on my YouTube channel. I lost I lost my going live privileges on one of my channels because I think I played 10 seconds of copyrighted music. And then on Facebook, I can't go live because I shared a video. There was a joke Michael Collier made, and the joke was really funny. And he said a black man, a white man, or a black man, an Asian man, and a Hispanic man was standing on top of a mountain, and on top of the mountain, and the Asian man said, "This is for my people," and he jumped off the mountain. And then the Hispanic man said, "This is for my people." And he jumped off the mountain. And then the black man said, "This is for my people." And he grabbed the white man and threw him off the mountain. So there you go. So that's the joke. So I shared that joke on Facebook, and Facebook literally came back and banned me for 30 days for hate speech. So literally, because I shared that joke, Facebook banned me for 30 days. So don't look for me on Facebook. And it is what it is. I pretty much know that they just don't. They restrict free speech, and and so you can't make jokes. You can't even share things other people say. I've been banned for things that I didn't even say. I didn't even make the joke up. In fact, y'all heard me tell the joke. I didn't tell it as good as Michael Collier did. I just shared his video, and they banned me. They banned me for 30 days for sharing that video. I'm saying I'm banned for 30 days for saying fat white women. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty terrible, right? So just so you know, yeah, I think they are watching me closely too. I think a lot of people are watching closely. And it's tough because you've got the white people, the racist white people who hate you. Then you got jealous black people who hate you, and then you've got the government that hates you. And so you never really know who your enemies are all the time. So the best way to kind of handle it is you just keep going. You can't slow down. You can't let it affect you too much. You got to keep it moving. So just so you know, we always have plans B, C, D, and E in full effect. So if you want to make sure we're connected, pull out your phone right now and text my name. Text Boyce to 31996. 31996. Text my name Boyce to 31996. And what'll happen is I can send you a text message from wherever I'm live. And also if you want to follow all my social media platforms, my Instagram, some of y'all are watching on the gram, I'm at the real Boyce Watkins. On Twitter, it's Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. How you doing, Twitter? On YouTube, you can go to drboycetv.com. That's drboycetv.com. So we ain't playing. We got so much good stuff moving in so many different directions that can't nobody really stop like what we're doing. So I'm not really tripping on it. Oh, but actually, we even built a social media platform for Black people, a Facebook for Black people called Blag Enough, which it has activity every day. There's thousands of people on there. So if you really want to have real, authentic Black conversations without Big Brother and the KGB watching your every move, COINTELPRO of Facebook, then go to blagenough.com, BLAGGENUF. It's free to sign up. It's very active. There's a lot of people on there, so feel free to check that out. All right. So anyway, let me hop into the conversation that I was going to discuss today, and this has to do with this show. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Tell me if you have seen this show on BET. This show's called Blew a Bag. It's a show that comes on. Let me see. Not heard you speak on Dame's apology. Yeah, I haven't spoken on Dame Dash's apology because I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to sit here. I actually, before we move to Blue Bag, let me just say this. I'm a believer that, when you do business with somebody, if things don't work out, unless you have a specific reason to go become a chatty patty about it, then you keep it to yourself. Like there's some things I've gone public about. For example, the times that I've met Angela Rye and just seeing how rude and disrespectful she was to rank and file Black people who paid her all this money to come speak. I felt the need to speak on that because that offended me. When you offend other Black people, that offends me. But there's other times where maybe somebody did me wrong or something bad happened in business or where I got into a fight with somebody where I kind of feel like, you just kind of move on. You kind of move on and rebuild. So if you want to know my position on Dame Dash and Dame Dash's apology and everything else, Dame and I don't work together anymore. We had a great time together on doing intelligent boss moves. I respect Dame Dash as a person, as a human being. We were very close friends, and I still want to see him do well. But I did not choose to want to continue to operate in that kind of space for various reasons. And so, as far as the apology, in case you don't know, Dame Dash apologized to a lot of people that he's been attacking for quite a while, like Leor Cohen and some white guy in the music industry. I don't care about these rap motherfuckers. That shit don't matter to me. And Jay-Z and Biggs and stuff like that, who he started Rockefeller Records with. And I thought that the apology, there's usually a reason behind it, right? A lot of times when stuff like that happens or somebody suddenly changes their tune, it usually has something to do with business, something to do with money. So I wouldn't be surprised if, apologizing to Leo Cohen didn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd be curious to know for him to have a deeper explanation, but I'm not here. I'm not going to diss him for what he chose to do. I'm just going to say I just choose not to participate in any of that. But anyway, so let's go back to Blue Bag, BET show. Okay, so the BET show, Blue Bag, is basically this show where it's all about Black people who gave away millions of dollars. Black people, that basically, had a lot of money and lost all that money. And then they come on Blue Bag and they tell this elaborate story about how they had all this money and they spent it all on rims and chains and strippers and hookers and shit, and ended up broke again, exactly where they started, right? I mean, you watch Blue Bag and it's really a show that makes you sort of say to yourself, if you didn't know anything about Black people, didn't know anything about slavery, didn't know anything about how we got to where we are right now economically, you would probably ask yourself something like this. You'd probably say, wow, Black people, they speak a lot about white people oppressing them, but it seems that they've gotten to the point where they've got oppression on autopilot. It seems that they've got to the point where they do a pretty good job of oppressing themselves. It seems like they're at a point where, white people ain't got to do shit, because if you give a nigga $1 million, he gonna blow $1 million. Y'all have shows celebrating severe economic dysfunction and severe financial mental illness. Like, you celebrate this. You think this is cool. You think this is trendy. You think this is actually something that's good. You think this is something to brag about. And so, I'm watching this show and I'm sitting here and I'm checking this out. And the first show is about some guy who wins $8 million in the lottery. And he's talking about how the first thing he did was he bought the whole floor of a casino hotel. And then he went and bought the bar. He paid for strippers and shit. He was throwing money up at the club and blew all his money. And where he learned this behavior. This behavior comes out of culture. This is culture that's constantly mass promoted to you. Marketing works. Marketing works. So what's happening to you is you're being constantly marketed through networks like BET. You're being constantly marketed a consumer culture that leads you to stay broke. So it doesn't matter if you are broke. What they're basically doing is they're saying, if we give you money, you're gonna be broke again, because we're gonna teach you how to stay broke. A broke motherfucker always gonna find a way to be broke again. He always gonna find a way to get back to his natural position. So you can talk all day about oppression and discrimination and this ain't right and reparations and all that. Well, you know what? What if they passed $1 trillion reparations bill tomorrow? What if they passed $1 trillion reparations bill tomorrow? Do you realize that Black people give about $1 trillion a year to white businesses every single year on autopilot like it ain't nothing? Do you know that we give $1 trillion a year to white businesses every year? So do you know that if they wrote $1 trillion reparations package and wrote us all checks for $1 trillion, that money would not stay in our community more than 25 minutes? Maybe a day, maybe a half an hour. I don't know what the number is. I don't know what the exact statistic is. We know it will be gone. So my point is to say that when you look at financial psychology, and that's my expertise, that's what I wrote in my dissertation, that's what I studied when I got my doctorate. Financial psychology is everything. How you think about money is everything. And anybody who talks about money without talking about the psychology of money doesn't understand money at all. My grandma used to tell, when I used to talk to my grandma, rest her soul, my grandmother never made more than $22,000 a year. She was a single mother with 4 kids. And all through those years, she owned her car, she owned her house, she had perfect AAA credit. All her credit card balances were paid down to zero. And she had people in her family that made 4 times more money than her coming to her borrowing money. And I would watch my grandmother and I would be like, how is it that this person who makes less money than damn near everybody and is a single mom in the midst of this world where we tell everybody that single moms can't make it, single moms can't survive, it's impossible to make it out here when you're a poor single mom, but this single mom is doing just fine. How is it that people that make 4 times more money than her are coming to her to borrow money? That didn't make no damn sense to me. And when I got my PhD, I finally went back and asked her, here I have a doctorate in finance, I'm teaching college students. And I go to my grandma and I said, Mama, what was your thinking when it came to money? I said, I'm about to write this article for Essence Magazine about, ways to kind of process your financial situation to improve it. I said, but I need to get some down home grandma wisdom. What is your philosophy on money? She said, Coco, that was my nickname. She said, Coco, it's all about how you think about money. She said, if you are a person who thinks like a spender, you will always be broke. If you are a person who thinks like a saver, you will always have money, because when spenders get more money, they spend more money. So when savers get more money, they save more money. And I wrote that in my article in Essence Magazine. And the reason is because, even though I had seen all the advanced information about finances and how money works and all that, all the little magical secrets that we think rich people know, I realized that there are lots of people who know all these things who still never get ahead financially. There are people who went to Harvard Business School, people who have MBA degrees, people who have advanced degrees in finance, and they struggle financially. How does that happen? Right? And then how do you have somebody like an A.G. Gaston? I was just speaking at a conference in Birmingham for A.G. Gaston. A.G. Gaston didn't go to school past the 10th grade and was worth over $100 million in the 1950s. How does it started off poor as fuck? Excuse my French, extremely poor. How did A.G. Gaston start off incredibly poor and end up worth $100 million when you got people that start off rich and end up poor? It's psychology and it's culture. It's that nigger-minded psychology. That's what you can call it. It's niggerosity that's fed to us on a daily basis from the nigger factory. The nigger factory is BET. BET mass produces nigger-like thinking. That's what their job is. And this is not a black-owned company, by the way. This is a company where white people are calling the shots over there. White people make the final decisions on what gets on the air and what doesn't. White people are the ones who are running that show. That is not a black network. That is a white-owned network that markets to black people. Let's just be clear about that. So this nigger factory mass produces thinking that causes you to be broke. Let me give you a statistic that proves this. There was a study that showed recently that black males, even black males who are born in wealthy families, have a very high likelihood of dying poor. Can you believe that? Did you hear what I just said? Even black males, black boys, born into wealthy families have a very high likelihood of dying poor or being poor by the time they're adults. Now, I need you to ask yourself, now, how does this happen? Now, of course, if you talk to, some Democratic presidential candidate or some white liberal, they're going to tell you, well, it's due to various structural factors, and black unemployment for black males is very, very high, and police brutality and the blah, 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 the stresses of being a black male and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all real. We know that stuff is real. Nobody's saying that that's not true. And some men can't handle the pressure. Some men, buckle under that. But if you are born in a family where they hand you a bunch of money and you can't hold on to that money, like, what's really happening? Did you blow your bag? Is that what happened? You blew your bag? Trying to be something you're not? Seriously, think about this. How many of y'all have ever known a black kid who grew up in a good family who wanted to be a thug? How many of y'all knew a black kid that grew up in the suburbs but wanted to pretend like he's from the hood? Or a black kid from Britain that pretends like he's from the trap in Atlanta? Right? How many of y'all know black kids born in nice circumstances who literally do all they can to run away from what they have so they can pretend like they poor and broke and struggling and in this hood shit. How many of y'all know people like that? All of us know somebody like that. And sometimes it's a white boy, sometimes it's a black kid or whatever. But a lot of us know people like that. And the thing about it is that the reason they think this way, psychology, is because this psychology is mass marketed. It is mass marketed through networks like BET. It is mass marketed through mass radio networks like Clear Channel, etc., or even Radio One and Urban One. They promote this nigga-like thinking. If you go listen to the show Blew a Bag, where did they get that title? Where did they get the title of the show Blew a Bag? Somebody raise your hand. Somebody tell me. This is hip hop trivia for y'all. Somebody in here tell me. I'm gonna take a sip of my water because I just got off a cold, so I'm a little dehydrated. Somebody tell me where they got the name of the motherfucking show Blew a Bag. Somebody tell me right now. Migos? Nope. Somebody over here, somebody on Twitter mentioned it, but I'm gonna see if anybody else knows. Somebody tell me, where did they get the name of the show Blew a Bag? Where did that come from? Did they pull it out of the air? Okay, somebody keeps saying Migos. So DJ Khaled, nope, keep going, come on. There you go, I see it again. Future, the rapper Future, one of the most ignorant, retarded motherfuckers to ever walk the face of the earth, who gets promoted to young black men more than anybody. There's not a scholar on earth that gets promoted to black males more than the rapper Future. There's not a doctor on the planet promoted to black males more than Future. There's not a brilliant lawyer on earth promoted to black males more than the rapper Future. There's not any black man of any sort of intellectual substance promoted to black males more than they mass promote Future. And Future is one of the most mentally retarded motherfuckers in the game. Like, he literally is a walking ball of black male self-destruction. He is, if you were to write a manual, if you were a member of the Klan and you wrote a manual on all the ways we're going to train black males to kill themselves, you would write it all down and put it into Future and then promote Future out throughout the world. Like you would take Future's lyrics and you would put all these messages into his lyrics and mass promote those lyrics to the world. Like, Future is a walking textbook on how a black man can die young, become a drug addict, become a horrible father, end up broke, catch every STD in the book, end up dead, end up in prison, or end up marginalized in some other way. So think about this. I mean, you wonder, you try to figure out, we're always trying to figure out, like, well, why, my God, why do black males struggle so much? Why do they make bad decisions? Why do they keep blowing their bags? Well, because rapper Future made a song called Blew a Bag, and every nigga think it's cool. Like, oh yeah, man, I blew a bag today. I blew a bag today. Why are you bragging about throwing away your family wealth? Like, don't you, let's pay attention. Think about this. Let's break this down. Let's go back to the brother I talked about on the first episode I saw, Blew a Bag. By the way, if you're on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. Please hit that thumbs up button and please share this video because I'm telling you, we're just in a conflict. We're in a battle with ignorance. Like, I have rappers that hit me up, friends of mine, they try to warn me, like, they're like, hey doc, people starting to think you hate all the rappers. I'm like, no, I don't hate all the rappers. I like you a lot. I just hate that motherfucker over there. Like, and I think that we can't be quiet about this. I really don't. I think that as a community, if you love your children, you will speak up about this bullshit. So anyway, and I'm not trying not to cuss so much. I'm sorry, but this really burns me up. So let's go back to the man who had 7 or 8 kids with 6 babies mamas, who won the lottery and blew his bag and thinks that shit is funny. Do you understand, black man, that when you blow your bag, do you know what you've actually done? You sign your children up for slavery. You have signed your children up for slavery. The white man showed up with a permission slip and said, we want to economically exploit your children, and we want to subject them to amazing amounts of racial harassment. Your daughter might get raped by some thug that she's gonna have to date because she don't have enough money, and she's gonna have to put up with it because her daddy blew a bag, and her daddy's such a bitch ass son of a bitch that he can't take care of her. So we need you to sign this permission slip because you're signing all your children and your grandchildren up for slavery. And he signed on the dotted line. That's what you're doing. When you blow your bag, understand this. When I say I had $8 million and I threw it all away, I signed my children up for slavery. My children are now going to have to deal with life as a poor Black person when they could have been enduring life as a rich Black person. My children are now going to have to make a lot of these horrible decisions that you must make when you're poor. Anybody here been poor before? Anybody, raise your hand if you know what it's like to be poor. Just so people don't think we're a bunch of bougie Negroes talking shit. Just raise your hand, say me, or say yes, me too, or whatever. Tell me if you have ever been poor in your life. I'm raising my hand because I know what it's like to be poor. See, because people act like I don't know, I don't understand. You don't understand, Doc. You don't understand what it's like in the struggle. Shut up, idiot. I know the struggle. That's why I busted my ass to get out of that. I picked up a book. I wasn't in a strip club. I was reading books. I wasn't like Mayweather out shopping for Gucci. I was shopping for books, nigga. Seriously, like Floyd Mayweather need this. He ain't boycotting Gucci, but he's been boycotting books since he was a little boy, and that's why his dumb ass is looking like a clown. Okay, so I'm sorry. I wasn't in the strip club. I was looking for books. Okay, raise your hand. I was born in the projects. I remember what it was like when my mama's car got repossessed, and I called 911 because I thought somebody stole her car. I kid you not. I didn't understand why she grabbed the phone and hung it up. I was like, why'd you hang up the phone? I called the police. Somebody stole our car. She said, nobody stole it. It got repossessed. That was my introduction to repossession. It was not the first time I experienced that. Okay, raise your hand. Good. Okay, so if you know what it's like to be poor, I want you to also tell me if you know what it feels like to have to make uncomfortable choices when you are poor. If you know what it feels like to have to take a job that you hate, that's depressing you every day, but you got to go to that job because you can't afford to quit the job. Or maybe some of the ladies in here, maybe you put up with a man that you felt like you had to put up with because you didn't know how you were going to take care of the kids if you left this man. I know women that have committed suicide because that suicide was their only escape from a financially abusive relationship. Right? I want you to tell me if you know anybody in your family that has been murdered over a little bit of money, over an amount of money that probably wasn't more than a couple of trips to Applebee's. I have. I want you to tell me if you know any Black men or Black women who've gone to prison and did hard time, maybe even got raped in prison because they didn't have couple $1,000s to go pay for a good lawyer that could at least allow them to fight the case without taking a plea bargain. Because you know, but that's what they do. They send the Black men to jail because they don't have enough money to fight the case. Right? So when you go on BET show Blew a Bag and you say, ha ha, I blew my bag, nigga, oh shit, nigga, I had fun, nigga. We bought champagne and all that shit. It was fun, my nigga. Right? When you laughing about your economic dysfunction, what you're also laughing about is the fact that you have signed your children up for a walking nightmare. You have signed your children and your grandchildren up for all those terrible scenarios I just described to you. Because most Black families know what it's like when you have a very serious problem that could be solved if you just had a couple $1,000s in the bank account. If you just had an uncle that you could call to help you get out of a situation. Maybe an eviction where you and your kids might have ended up on the street where it would have helped just to know somebody that could come over and loan you $3,000 for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Right? So you can't talk it at all about what white people are taking away from you when you refuse to talk about what you are stealing from yourself. The word poor, P-O-O-R, that stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. Now, I'm not trying to say white people don't owe us reparations. They owe us reparations. They really owe us reparations. There's no question about it. They should pay it. And I believe that to the bottom of my heart. But I also know white people very well. And I believe white people are going to always keep acting white. And I don't believe they're ever going to do the right thing. And I think that until white people come around and decide they're going to give us reparations, we need to give ourselves reparations for the fact that we throw away $1 trillion a year because we are determined to remain stupid. Please hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. I'm going to drink some water. If you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, please go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. please feel free to go to drboycewatkins.net, and the book is free. You can have it. So let me drink some water. Hold on. Okay, so here's the thing. The problem with that show, so I watched it, and I watched this guy, you know, this very sad story about this man who literally, I think he had 8 kids, and he was such a, it was interesting that he was this really interesting black male stereotype that you see on every single corner, right? Like, why is it that we mass produce niggas in our society? Like, why is it that I can look at that black man and I'm not looking at him saying, wow, I've never seen a black male like him before. I've never seen a pathetic, trifling ass motherfucker who don't take care of his kids. Like, that's so rare. My God, that's such an oddity. You're a pink unicorn there, fella. Like, right, like what? I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I know about 8 motherfuckers like that. Yeah, rapper Future, he's like that. He don't take. He got about 18,000 kids and all these women and all this other stuff. And nobody really talks about that. That's so interesting. I wonder how many diseases he has. I wonder if all these pretty girls that are sleeping with him know what they're being infected with. I wonder how that's all working out for him. You know, like seriously, like people don't ask these questions in public. They just think it's cool because the beat be slamming, right? And so the thing is, so I'm sitting there looking at this dude, and I'm really sad. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, you know, so this person is going through the typical black male experience, which a white liberal would define as black male oppression. Okay, cool, right? And of course, in their mind, they're like, oh, it's not his fault, right? It's the system. The system did this and did that. Okay, yeah, the system plays a part in that. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, so what's the remedy? Well, I know the remedy. I know what we could do for him. We could give him $8 million. We can give him an $8 million reparations check, right? Or a blessing from God. That's his opportunity to get out. Because that's what it is. Every person who keeps making bad decisions, think about this. Do you know anybody? Tell me if you know anybody in your family who keeps making one dumbass decision after another, who keeps ending up in one bad situation after another. And in their mind, they're thinking all they need is the right opportunity. Or all they need is one big break, or all they need is for somebody to help them out, right? And they think it's like this one thing, like all I need is to get a better apartment, or all I need somebody to help me get a car. You know what I'm talking about? You ever know people like that? And they really think it's like this one thing somebody could do for them that's going to change everything, when they don't realize that what's actually causing them to be where they are is their mindset and their attitude, and that you could take them out of their situation, put them in a whole different situation, and they will find a way back to the original situation that they were in, because that's where their mind is at, right? So this guy, so let's say you have this guy, 8 kids, you know, he had a little bit of a record. Ain't no shame in that. I know a lot of black people that went to prison. I know a lot of very good people who've gone to prison, so there's no shame in any of that. And so you say to him, oh, this poor little Negro, he's oppressed, and it's not his fault. He has no accountability, because, my God, it would be just terrible to expect black men to be accountable. We have to always blame the system. We can't hold the community accountable. We must always blame the system. We must always blame somebody else. Okay, so we're going to help him out, and we're going to give him a check for $8 million. Wouldn't that be enough to help somebody out? Wouldn't that be enough for you to change your life? It should be, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Why? Well, because when the niggatry has been injected in your veins that deeply, a little piece of money ain't gonna change that. A little piece of money ain't gonna change who you are. Money only makes you more of what you are. So if you are a product of the nigger factory before you get money, then having more money is just going to make you a bigger nigger. That's what it's going to do. If you a little nigga, when you ain't got no money, you're going to be a giant nigga when you get that check. And so he went from being a tiny nigga to being a humongous nigga, because everything that was in him just multiplied 100-fold. He was like, well, shoot, I've been watching my favorite rappers like Future, you know, buy up the bar and blow a bag and pay for strippers and buy the whole hotel room. Well, or the whole floor of hotel rooms. I'm going to do what I've seen rappers do. He was simply emulating what was marketed to him through this media. And what is really fascinating is that people will do things like that, where they will imitate what they see the rappers doing, and they really think that these ideas came from their own head. That's what's really amazing and powerful about it, is they don't even understand how the marketing has affected how they see everything. Even if you looked at the R. Kelly documentary, right? And you watch that documentary, which I thought the whole R. Kelly thing, it was a complicated type of situation because it was very complex. I knew a lot of the people behind it, and I felt like there were political motivations and all that. But I'm gonna put all that to the side right now and just say I think R. Kelly's a stink rat. I'm not a fan of R. Kelly in general, for any reason. But I didn't just become a non-fan of him. I was a non-fan of him in 2003, right? But here's the thing. So when I was watching the R. Kelly documentary and I was seeing how they were complaining that he was, that he had these things going on with women and was controlling them and locking them in rooms and abusing them and all these other things, right? Which again it was debatable because nobody got rescued. Like nobody wanted to leave his house after the documentary was over. So I can't explain that. But the interesting thing was when I saw it, I said, oh, that ain't nothing but pimping. Like that's just the pimp culture. Like that's the pimp culture that's been promoted in gangster rap and hip hop for about the last 25 years. That ain't nothing but a living manifestation of where Snoop Dogg in the 90s used to say, "We don't love them hoes." And then he would go on tour and he would bring Pimp Magic Don Juan with him, and he was telling all the young black men, impressionable young black men like R. Kelly, who was in his 20s at the time, that the way you get these women is you control these bitches. You keep these bitches you keep they neck under your foot. That's how you control these women. So we don't love them hoes, and everybody's running around repeating, we don't love these hoes. So years later, when you find out for the last 20-something years, R. Kelly's been treating women like they are dirt. Well, this all comes from a culture. This comes from a culture that's encouraged, right? So I think in general, if you can't connect like what you saw maybe in the R. Kelly documentary or some of the things that you see in our community, some of the ridiculous behavior that you see in the community, if you can't connect that to the music, then that means you are literally brain dead. You are literally brain dead. That's like trying to disconnect, the civil rights movement from Sam Cooke songs and disconnecting it from Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and their influence on the minds of black people. Like all these things inspire black people to act. So the same thing is true, that the difference between Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and the rapper Future is that you might argue that Future gets promoted to black people more than Martin Luther King ever did. More than Martin Luther King ever did. So let's just be clear, black people. This stuff is something this is poison. This is destroying your community and destroying your wealth. Now, I want to say thank you very much. Jerome, I see you. Eric Donaldson, I see you. And I want to say thank you so much for your support of the channel. We will put these funds to good use. This is going to support intelligent black media throughout the world. It's going right back into the black community. And I want to say thank you so much for your support. Jerome says, I don't know if you know me or not, but love you and love what you're doing. I love you too, man. Thank you so much. And Marquis, say that for real stuff, sir. Yeah, I will. And I want to say thank you guys. I don't want you guys to think I didn't see you come through. Sometimes I just want to I have to keep focused, but I just want to stop and make sure I acknowledge and show my appreciation for your support. And I will not let you down. We're going to continue to move forward on this crusade because this is important for our community. We can't stop talking about this stuff. We can't. You can't have a community with intelligent people in it if you are constantly pushing intelligent people to the back and pushing your most ignorant people to the front. Like how can black people ever get ahead when we promote our most backward thinking people? Like seriously, how are you going to move forward as a community when the most ignorant among you is the one who gets the most attention from white media? Right. So now again, white folks are going to do what they do. I just think that we should have awareness on this because we have to know it for what it is. This is not funny. It's not funny when you hear about a man that's got 7 kids who threw away $8 million. His little daughter probably ain't got half a daddy. I mean, you got 8 kids with 6 women and you broke. What kind of daddy are you really gonna be? Come on now. What kind of daddy can you? Anybody who thinks that being a father ain't got nothing to do with money has never been a father before because kids are very damn expensive. The average cost of raising one child is about $250,000 in America. So if you got 8 kids, 8 times $250,000 is $2 million. You got $2 million bucks? No, but you just blew a bag, didn't you? You just blew 8 million, didn't you? So now your little daughter's gonna be out here tricking. She's gonna be doing whatever she got to do to get a couple dollars to get by because her daddy could not do her job. So a lot of black women out here grow up lost and thrown to the wolves because they damn daddies were too busy out here blowing a bag, acting a damn fool to actually take care of their kids. And we know mamas can't be let off the hook either. So, because mamas, y'all the ones who chose to sleep with the daddy. So let's be clear about that too. So here's the thing about the BET show Blue a Bag, right? You know, what it does, here's how these shows work. It's like a Jerry Springer kind of thing for Black people, in the sense that what you're doing is you're taking a type of dysfunction and you're making it into comedy. Like, it's always funny to watch, you know, or for cruel kids. If you talk about a group of cruel bully children, cruel children will always think it's funny to watch the retarded kid stumble, or to look at the kid with Down syndrome try to play basketball, right? Like, it's always funny to watch somebody with a disability show their disability in full form, or watch the blind kid bump into walls, right? So for Black people, our economic dysfunction is to some extent a racially imposed disability, right? It is something that causes us to just act a goddamn fool, to embarrass ourselves, to embarrass our community, to disrespect our ancestors, and to put ourselves in an even worse position than we were before, right? That's what our dysfunction does for us, right? Now, what BET is doing, the white people that own BET, is they are making money by saying, ha 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 ha, look at how stupid these niggas are. Niggas are so stupid. This motherfucker blew a bag because he's trying to act like a rapper. Oh, this is so funny. Oh my God, right? Now, because think about this. I want you to ask yourself this question. Is there any other community, Hispanic, Jewish, Asian in particular, and white, that has a show that where they, you know, get on there and brag about how they blew a bag, how they had a bunch of money and just wasted it, and then laugh about it? Like, does that happen? Like, do you see a Jewish show where Jews think it's cool to talk about how you had a bunch of money and you blew a bag? What do you think would kind of happen if they tried to market a show to Jewish people where they had Jewish guys on there talking about how they got their money, they threw it all away because they partied it all up and whatever? I mean, do you think that show probably wouldn't even sell? They wouldn't even think that was interesting, right? But we think it's interesting. Like, we watch that, we consume that because we think it's exciting. We're like, wow, you had all this money, and oh, you went to the club and you bought a Maserati and blah blah. Like, we think that's cool because that's what's marketed to us. That flashy nonsense. That it's a big lie. It's really a big lie. I mean, most of these rappers are just struggling financially. Most of these rappers are not doing well economically. Most of these rappers are pretending to be something that they're not. Most of these rappers are an absolute mess behind closed doors. Most of these rappers used to go on shows like MTV Cribs, and they almost never were able to use their own house because most of these rappers didn't even have no damn house, right? So the nonsense that's promoted to us is insane. And what is ridiculous as well is when you see somebody, you know, some 23-year-old kid who's in some record deal that's really a slave contract, who's only going to be famous for about a year. You see him going back to the hood and saying, you know, yeah, well, this just kind of shows that, you know, with hard work, I mean, you could be like me, like you can make it like I did, right? So little Black kids, little Black boys are watching this and thinking, okay, if I want to be successful, I want to be like my favorite rapper, Lil Trippy Trip or whatever, right? I want to be like him, and you're emulating him. So he's always got a bottle in his hand or a cup of something that he's drinking. So you want to get a bottle and get a cup. He's always talking about getting high and drunk, so you want to get high and drunk. He's always disrespecting women, so you disrespect women. He's always throwing his money, blowing his bag, so you blow your bag, right? Because you're thinking that this is the model for success, when really you're being led down into a mousetrap. Instead, as a Black man, as a young Black man, your model of success should have been something like, say, a Black entrepreneur who figured out how to start a business and turn that business into something that gives him a sustainable amount of income for his family at an early age. Like, for example, when I was down in Birmingham, we were talking about A.G. Gaston. A.G. Gaston was a hustler. A.G. Gaston only went to school to the 10th grade. A.G. Gaston went to work in a coal mine. And when he worked in the coal mine, he realized that everybody loved the lunch his mother used to make for him when he went to work. So he had his mama making extra lunches that he would sell at work. And then when he started getting extra paper from selling lunches, he started making loans to people and getting interest off the loans. Then he went into the insurance business. Then he owned restaurants and hotels and all kinds of businesses to the point where he was worth $100 million. That should be the model that young Black males are being exposed to, that inspires them to want to work hard. The models that don't typically work are the models that involve dribbling a basketball, throwing a football, or rapping. And the reason those models don't work is because, number one, the number of opportunities is very small relative to the number of applicants. So 99.9% of them get kicked out of the process and they end up being thrown into a wasteland. And then two, it comes with a very toxic, very unhealthy economic culture that's built on Black male ignorance. It's built on this ignorance that teaches Black males that when you get to a certain age, you're not supposed to know anything about proper grammar. You're not supposed to know how to write, read, or do math. You're not supposed to know anything about business. You're not supposed to desire to be an intellect. You're supposed to desire to be a cool ass, thug ass nigga who want to go to the club and watch strippers shake their ass and throw money in the air and pop bottles of liquor and shoot niggas for stepping on your toe and disrespecting women and running around and making babies everywhere. Like, don't pretend like y'all don't see the same culture that I see. Don't pretend like you don't see it. When I was at University of Kentucky, this goes way back too. I remember University of Kentucky when I would see the basketball players and they would always walk, they would always try to be cool. They would walk real slow, and they would and they, you know, they had all these girls running in and out of the dorm, which I guess that's what people do or whatever. The white girls love them, and they, you know, they would get high and drunk, and it was just like this really ignorant culture, like didn't want to do well in their classes because they didn't think that was cool to actually study and to be intelligent as a Black man. And I was like, well, how are we going to succeed as Black men? How can we compete if we're stupid? How can we compete if we can't read? How can we compete if we don't have any skill? How can we compete if we ain't learning what the white man's doing? Like if we're in a war, we have to be prepared to be soldiers, man. Y'all ain't no damn soldiers. Y'all just some losers, man. Like, why are you building yourself up to be losers? Have you ever done this seriously? Like, this is for the brothers. This is a question for the Black men in the room. Have you ever like called up like another dude and asked him like, hey man, so what you doing today? He was like, nothing, chilling. You know, and then you're like, all right, well, why don't we get together? Why don't we do something? Why don't we hustle? Why don't we go make some money? And they be like, oh man, I'm just gonna sit here. They sitting back, like watching Sports Center all day, or playing video games all day, or smoking weed. Come on, nigga, you too serious, nigga. Damn. Like, why is Black male culture? Why do we have an angle of Black male culture that is so resistant to productive behavior? I'm not dissing all Black men. I'm a Black man, right? So I'm not dissing Black men. this is just a call to arms to say to Black men, I think we have more in us, but we're being marketed this laid back, super laid back, lazy ass, bullshit ass culture that leads to failure. You know, like, what's wrong with the Black man who says, you know what, I'm reading every single book I can possibly get my hands on because I want to be the smartest person I can possibly be? Why isn't that celebrated? No. We got shows like Blew a Bag with some dude on there, like with 7 kids and 6 babies mamas, talking about how he blew all the money and he's laughing about it because it's funny. It ain't funny, man. You just sign your kids up for slavery. You just let down your children. Your children are going to go through all kinds of hell right now because their daddy wasn't looking out for them. That's not funny. I mean, if you want to talk about it as a learning tool to say, this is the mistake I made, you don't want to make the same mistake. Let's go learn financial literacy so that you don't have this problem. I can get that. I can get you talking about a mistake as a stepping stone to a higher level of existence. But I cannot get the idea of you talking about something that is so dysfunctional and laughing about it like it's normal. Normalizing dysfunctional behavior. That is one of the things that we do. That is one of the things we're trained to do. That is one of the things that they want us to do. And so with this show, you know, you're sitting here and you're just watching these people show their dysfunction in full display, and people think that's funny. White people love that. White people love seeing Black people act like niggas. That's why they pay money to see their favorite rappers, because they think it's great that we have this weird culture where we do all these really ridiculous, destructive things and then laugh about it. They think that's great. So anyway, let me acknowledge Docare. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that very much. Tamara says, not working in grad school, don't have much, but I truly appreciate the jewels of truth. Well, thank you, Tamara. I appreciate you very much, and thank you for your support. And I want to say thank you also to Dual Victory for coming in as a moderator. As you guys know, this YouTube channel that I had was shut down for a little bit. because I did something 3 months ago that kept me banned. I'm gonna try to stay out of trouble, but I end up in YouTube and Facebook jail on a regular basis, and it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. So the one analogy I'll explain to you to help you understand why shows like Blue Bag are so destructive. Now again, remember I mentioned to you that shows like Blue Bag, all they are is mental illness on full display. That's what it is. It's taking Black economic dysfunction and marketing this and laughing about it, and people thinking it's funny, right? And so here's an example. Imagine if you had a little girl who was molested since she was 2 years old, and her parents were drug addicts, and so they beat her up, and she went through all kinds of hell. So this girl's clearly going to grow up, and she's going to have some dysfunctional behavior patterns, most likely as a result of what she's gone through, right? So it's not her fault that she's where she is, but it's showing itself in her behavior. So as a result, the little girl grows up, and she becomes a stripper and a hooker, and so she's sleeping with men for money, and she's addicted to drugs, right? So imagine if she was doing a show talking about, how I sold my ass, right? And she's telling stories about how she took money and let guys take her in the back alley and rape her, for $50. And like, he didn't even give me the $50, right? Or she's telling stories about all the times that she got raped, and everybody's just laughing about it, right? And nobody's actually stopping to say, maybe this woman needs therapy. Maybe we need to help her. Maybe we should make sure that we tell these stories in a way that does not glorify the culture, but instead actually helps us to learn what people are going through so that we can really do better. Like imagine that. Think about this. So that's pretty much what this show is. It's a matter of taking a group of people, Black people, who have endured the worst kinds of financial abuse imaginable, the worst kinds of economic molestation that you can ever go through, all kinds of abuse and terror that we've experienced in this country that has led us to make decisions that are not healthy and not smart. And then we make these decisions. They put the most ignorant of us on TV, and we just laugh about it. We just think it's funny because we think it's cool to blow a bag. Just like the little girl might still think it's cool to be a stripper and sell your ass for money so you can get more crack. Right? So she's telling the story about how she went and shook ass at the club, sold some pussy in the back, and went and used that money to go buy some crack and smoked up all the crack by the following Monday. And we think those are just really good stories. We think that's interesting, right? And that's what white people kind of use you for. They love for you to tell these tales from the hood about how your dysfunction plays itself out in a very broad arena, in a global marketplace, right? It plays itself out, and they think that's the greatest thing in the world. I saw where Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg went to you. See, you think it's admiration that leads them to watch you. You think it's because they like you and they admire you, but they don't admire you. They don't want to be you. When they did a survey, when this white lady who does racism did a survey, she asked white people, she said, how many of you would want to trade places with a Black person right now? Not one of them motherfuckers raised their hand. Not one. Not one. So you think it's admiration. Because Snoop said that when Snoop was on LeBron's TV show, he was like, well, it's just great when we go around the world and everybody's like cheering and screaming and we getting all this love from all over the globe. And I'm looking at him like, nigga, like, look, bro, do you really think they admire you? You think that they admire you? No, you're a cartoon character, brother. That's what you are. You are a caricature to them. That's what they admire you the same way you admire some stripper in the club. Like, you're just entertainment for them. They don't want their kids to grow up like you. They don't want you marrying their daughter. They don't want you as a roommate or a neighbor. They like you. You're like a crazy wild animal. Like you're entertaining as long as you're kept at a distance and in a cage, right? So they'll pay money to see you the same way they'll pay money to see Boo Boo the circus bear, because you are a damn clown. That's what you are to them. That's how they see you. You think they're laughing with you. They are laughing at you. So Snoop and Dre did this little video, and it just drove me crazy. that's where sometimes thinking too much gets me in trouble and causes me to have headaches, because I'm like, oh my God, my head's gonna explode. I can't watch this. I gotta shut my brain off. So him and Dr. Dre was touring somewhere in overseas or wherever the hell they was at. And it was a crowd full of white people, because black people couldn't afford them damn tickets, I'm sure. But I looked in the crowd; it was mostly white people. Like so they do this video intro to make them look like these big gangsters or whatever, right? And so they walk in the store, and Dre and Snoop are walking in the store, and and Dre's like, hey, give me a 40 ounce of that OE, nigga. And so they get a bottle of liquor or whatever, right? Because every black man want to be a damn alcoholic. That's why we dying from liquor and shit. But anyway, so he gets the liquor, so he's walking, and then suddenly this villain, this bad guy, breaks into the store, right? And he's gonna rob the store. And then they see that he's robbing the store. So Snoop pulls out his gun, right? And they get in this big shootout, like poof, poof, and Dre's busting and Snoop's busting. And then finally they shoot the guy, and the guy hits the ground. This is literally the video intro right before the concert, right? So the guy hits the ground, and he's like shaking. And then Snoop gets up in his face, and he says something like, die, nigga, die. Boom, and he shoots the black man in the face. The white people go crazy. They're like, die, nigga, die, nigga, die, right? And I'm sitting here just like, oh my God. Like, you got a stadium full of white people screaming the words, die, nigga, die. And you think that's good? You think that's good? I mean, I'm trying to figure that out, because I'm supposed to be scared of police and everything else, and which I am, but I'm just sitting there thinking, I don't know. I mean, if a Klansman or a Trump supporter was saying "die, nigga, die," I mean, is that okay? Like, I mean, do we really understand what we're doing when we promote our image around the world and make ourselves look like animals? Make ourselves look ignorant? I mean, what are we really doing when we support all this nonsense? I know some of these people are your heroes, and I know I'm gonna probably make some enemies just by making this video, but I need y'all to really process this for a minute, black people. What image of you is being promoted throughout the world? And it's not so important in terms of just how other people see you, but how does it affect how you see yourself? How many otherwise very productive black men have been ruined because their minds were captivated by a very toxic and self-destructive black male culture? I mean, how many black boys could have been black geniuses, but didn't become black geniuses because they wanted to be thug niggas? Tell me if you can think of anybody you know who could have been great, who could have been anything, but instead of becoming great, they wanted to be a thug. Or maybe because they became a basketball player, they started getting caught up in some stupid jock culture. I mean, what you got to understand is that when this happens, every time the nigga factory takes away one of your children, it's not just taking away your son or your brother or your cousin or your or whatever. It's taking away somebody's father, taking away somebody's husband, right? Taking away a leader, somebody that could have been a leader and a protector in the community. But instead, they get caught up in the bullshit, the mass promoted bullshit. So shows like Blew a Bag with BET, they feed into that, and they make you ask this question at the end of the day. And I'm gonna tell you the answer to this question because I know the answer to this question. Can a community with $1.2 trillion in income per year call itself poor? I'm going to say that the answer is no. Not because you don't have as much money as white people. You don't have as much money as white. They have far more money than you. But it's because you have more money in your community than most countries on this earth. 95% of all countries on this planet do not have the income that African Americans have in this country. So the fact that you have 1.2 trillion, but you have mass marketed shows that mass promote the idea of economic irresponsibility and financial dysfunction speaks to why wealth accumulation is very, very difficult for you because you have a big culture that's being pushed to you and your children that leads them to want to take any little thing that they're given and throw it all away. So again, we could talk all day about reparations and everything else, which we should, but there is no way on earth to ever fill a leaky bucket. You could pour all the water in the ocean into a bucket with a big hole in it, and at the end of the day, you will still have an empty bucket. So Black people, your number one problem, and the reason that you love shows like Blue Bag, is because your community is built on the idea that we want to be a leaky bucket. We want to be a bucket that leaks, and then we want to complain about the fact that our bucket is empty. That is our biggest problem, and that is something we must confront. I don't care what anybody says, and that's just the truth. Do me a favor, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, please take a second, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the share button and the subscribe button. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. And also, as you guys know, we have flashcards for children, financial flashcards, things like that we invented for Black children. So if you want to educate your own kids and educate them economically, the flashcards and workbooks we designed specifically for Black kids. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com. That's financialflashcards.com. So I'm out of here, guys. Please have a great day. And thank you for bearing with me. I know I'm a little bit crazy, but I hope you get my point. So thank you all for your support. I love you. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Be good.